Good morning. It is Sunday morning, December 6th, 2025. My name's Christopher Height. I'm not composting right now, but I'm walking the dogs. There's Pancake, the black one, and Willie. They're being pretty good right now. I'm out here on the Huckleberry Trail in Blacksburg, Virginia. I've been thinking about some things. Lately, what I've been thinking about is young men, mostly because I go to the sauna at the weight club here in Blacksburg, and I'm pretty quiet in there most of the days that I go in there, but oftentimes, especially as it gets colder here, young men, a lot of students at Virginia Tech, they go in there and, well, all right, so I got to tell a little backstory. So the backstory is I've been thinking about reviving my blog, but making a lot more videos like this for the blog and rebranding the blog from Tom Paine's Ghost, which I feel like wasn't really the theme of the blog anymore, to some kind of more sustainable lifestyle kind of blog. Had a lot of blog ideas, like, anyway, compostheap.earth was one of the URLs that I was contemplating that seemed popular. Another one was called Common Sense Compost. Well, anyway, why am I talking about this? Well, I was looking at Google and I was thinking about how back in the heyday of my blogging time at Tom Paine's Ghost, I recall using what at the time was called Google Trends. There was even a whole TV series called Google Current that Connor Knighton, who now works for CBS Sunday Mornings, they were trying to put out little news stories every few minutes on trending topics on Google. And so I think they're still available to view, but I don't know. I think that Current got bought by Al Jazeera, but blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I was looking at Google Trends, and that's still a thing, right? You can go and look at Google Trends and you can see what search terms are searched the most. And the example that was given to me was men's socks, especially this time of year, and it's seasonal, right? So as we approach Christmas, a very common search term is men's socks. And so then I watched a YouTuber who educated me on how to use Google Trends to observe, cyclic Google searching, and men's socks, or just socks in general, was used. And I think he used two different sock companies. I can't remember the names of the sock companies. Maybe Happy Feet was one of them, but and then he showed globally like where Happy Feet socks were being searched more than the other leading brand. Stance, I think, was the other brand. Anyway, so then I am looking at Google Trends, and I look in the United States, and all of like the top 40 most recent trending searches were just the names of sports teams, like, for example, the Buffalo Bills versus the Broncos, or the Buffalo Bills versus the Bengals. Sorry, that's the game that's happening today. But they were all mostly college games, and I realized, why? I mean, I know that sports are really popular, but why are all these the most recent search terms? And then I realized it's betting. So sports betting specifically, is just exploding right now because of legalized gambling. I mean, I am not a person that is for moralizing anything really, but I do foresee in the coming years, and even this year, sports betting being a major problem, where it just becomes a major addiction, especially for young men. And then this leads into the conversation that I was having with my wife yesterday. I am a member of the American Humanist Association, and right now the chief executive of that organization, his name is Fish Stark. That is this man's name. So Fish Stark, he put out like an update on the American Humanist Association. He was talking at length about the support for a certain political identity, which I'll not name right now, among young men. Being 40% of young men are supportive of this person that I won't name. And Fish Stark, the executive of the American Humanist Association, attributes that to them kind of subscribing, their algorithms feeding them all this content from what's called the manosphere, right? So, of course, this is like Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson and all these kind of influencer, podcaster, dude brah. And, you know, my immediate thought was like, well, there's counter people. There's people like Scott Galloway, who are trying to help this subsection of young men be seen and heard, and wrote a book. But then this morning in the Roanoke Times, there was basically a very sharp critique of Scott Galloway's new book. But, you know, immediately when I was talking about this with my wife, the statement in the letter about the negative effect of the manosphere on young men, I was like, well, you know, what's the answer to that? And I don't think the answer is to other anyone. I mean, we shouldn't be othering people, saying like, oh, this group of people is bad because of their support for whomever. But yeah, I think any group of people, human beings in general, should be, you know, should have a source of basic human dignity from society through the form of, you know, government education. I'm not saying government education, I'm just saying education in general, but also just content, right? Like available content for anybody. And this is the problem, right? Because then I get labeled a men's rights activist, or you know, basically somebody who's making the case for the manosphere, and I'm not. I mean, I understand that the manosphere and men's rights activists are have a negative connotation, but what I'm saying is that when I go into the sauna here in Blacksburg at the weight club, I hear young men talking, and I just hear what they say and how they speak about things, and they're pretty shy in general, I would say, but they're pretty oblivious to like social norms and etiquette. Like, for example, yesterday I was in there and they were just listening to a game, right? I forget what game it was, the Mavericks maybe, I don't know, it was some game, and it was blaring, but it was just advertisements, and I was like, why are you guys listening to advertisements when you're in the sauna? This is so strange. But it's because they're totally enveloped, engulfed, and ensconced in this world of sports betting, I think. And I know it's just a microcosm in one small window into their world, but I've also had students in the past that I know were like relying on results of their sports betting to pay their rent. And it just seems like just a very misguided way to live. And I know I said I wasn't a fan of moralizing things, but sports betting, ugh. I'm not against being a fan of sports, but if you're betting and that's your whole source of entertainment and in some cases income, get a new hobby. It's not good. Anyway, all right. I'll see you next time from the compost pile. All right. Mwah.